Our topic was, for the fortnight was customer service, and just to, give it a beginning to this topic or today's discussion. When I looked at this topic, customer service, I actually, kind of deep dived into my past corporate history where I used to work in different roles, and there was a time when I was serving too many internal customers. So, as a maintenance engineer, let's say, I did not have to really had to do anything with the actual customers. The normally, people who are paying you or paying the business are the customers. That's what the definition of definition of customer is. But when you are working in an organization as an employee, you have a lot of internal customers to serve. Even as a family member, you have to serve a lot of people in your family, starting with your spouse, maybe for Ojo's girlfriend. Your children are also your internal customers, and of course the parents. We are doing something or the other for them, and the form of the service could be different depending on your position or the role that you are playing or the hat that you are wearing. But at the end of the day, I think you end up serving so many people day in day out. Uh, so the question is whether you like customer service. In now, let's think it from a professional point of view, in whichever role we are, whether we are a business owner or an executive or whoever we are, whether you like it or not, but like I said, in different roles we end up doing these customer services anyway. So sometimes you have no choice but to serve. So instead of making it something which is something that you had to do but you have to do, why not to make it a choice and do it better? So from that point of view, I just invited views from members sharing their experience. Some people have shared their experience. uh, Today I'm just going to change the sequence. Those people who have already shared their views, uh, I'll probably I'll go to them little later. But the people who could not actually share the views, and if you have found any takeaways, anything that appealed to you, that touched to you, and if you would like to kind of correlate with your business, or if you want to share, it's your turn. So alphabetically starting, naturally it goes to Amit.
Okay, what I feel like in my past experience also, I've seen that if you are reliable, first is reliability, always in customer service, then comes quality, then comes your support, and then comes your friendliness. So these four factors affect how you choose and give the customer service.
Mm-hmm.
This is what I have also stressed upon, even in my past days in Bay Area, where I used to work on research and innovation in HP. So these four factors I have followed religiously, and today also in my business I am following this very religiously,
Mm-hmm.
and the results are really amazing.
Mm-hmm.
Because if you are not reliable, like I've seen people doing various streams of business, and for example, last week only, a Saturday Club member came to me. Like I had asked for one product from a person,
Mm-hmm.
and then suddenly he said no, he has stopped doing that business. I had brought one product from him, and he said, like, I don't know what's happening now. So that's why I said, like, reliability is of paramount importance, and if we don't have a consistency in our product service or products that we sell, then people won't come to us for doing business. That is one of the aspects what I've seen. And quality, whatever product or service we sell, we have to sell it from bottom of our heart. We cannot be just trader kind of people
Mm.
who just take products and sell it otherwise, and then we forget it. That should not be the like Amazon. Why people are preferring Amazon? Because if something goes wrong, they don't ask questions. They just return back you the cash, or they return or exchange the product.
True.
But if we go to Flipkart asks us like various questions. Why? The customer service also calls us a lot, and then it becomes a hurdle that should we go with Flipkart.
Mm.
So these are the two life changing experiences what I've seen in India.
Mm-hmm.
And then I don't prefer Flipkart for obvious reasons. Then
Mm. Mm.
because we never know the seller, we never trust the seller, we have never seen the seller there. So that is one aspect. Second is support. Like, how do you support your product or service? Like in our case, Biman sir, we actually do a lot of follow-ups. If we don't do the follow-ups, and if we just take the money and don't go back to the customers, then the customers will say, okay, अरे इन्होंने एक ही बार आए और follow-up कुछ नहीं दिया.
Right.
For services like us, so we have to do regular follow-ups, and that's where this point support comes into picture. And the last one is friendliness. We cannot be arrogant, we cannot be rude while providing customer service. We have to first be an empathic listener, understand their perspective and their problems, and then provide solutions. So these are the 4 parameters I would like to stress upon while giving customer service.
Very nicely explained. Thank you so much, Amit. On support, that you mentioned, that the kind of services that you and I provide, let's say as a trainer, you as a counselor, or me as a business coach. I shared my experience right after declaring the fortnightly topic, and this is something that I actually realized long time back, and I started implementing it, and it has brought tremendous results. Like I have said or shared in my post, that after the training is over, I don't consider that my job is done. I really chase people very hard, ask them difficult questions, request them to share their experience. We lost Amit. I think he should come back. I ask questions. We lost Vahidji also. Should we wait? Yeah, let's wait for about a minute.
Let's wait for a minute or so.
Yeah.
Maybe something with the network that prompted them to drop out.
Yeah, so I was just let me just continue what I was saying. Anyway, it is shared in my post that I keep chasing people, and at least for 1 month, WhatsApp is a great tool. So I am making use of that WhatsApp, or sometimes a Telegram channel, where I keep in touch with the participants who have completed my discourse, or they have attended my session, regardless whether it was a complimentary session or whether it was a paid session. Regardless of that, I keep in touch with them, and like I said, I keep sharing more reading material with them. I keep asking questions. If they have identified that, okay, this was my takeaway and I tried to implement but I failed, then that also we take up for discussion, and maybe his implementation method was wrong. He probably has not understood the concept, because most of the concepts, हम concepts किसको बोलते हैं कि things which are proven, which have been working for a very large number of people, obviously they are considered as concepts. So concepts are not wrong, maybe the implementation method is wrong. So I try to look into those aspects, and then over a period of time also, so after let's say 1 month's complimentary support on WhatsApp, even after that period is over, I try to stay in touch with them with the relevant topic by sharing more material. Maybe I have written some blog, or I have found out some beautiful article somewhere which is relevant to that topic. I keep sharing with them. So I in my opinion, that is going out of the way, going extra mile when it comes to customer service. And when it comes to service, what more can you do? In product, probably you can offer let's say free upgrade if it is applicable, or maybe you are giving certain preference to already existing customer when you launch a new product to the existing customer. So that is something that people who are in product business probably can afford. But in services, what will you do? Yeah, you can say that, okay, when my next training is coming up or my next session is coming up, maybe I give them a preference, or I give them some freebies. That is somewhere it is applicable. But it depends, because the subjects of the training are different, the topics could be different, the audience, not all the audiences are really relevant for all the topics. So that poses a limitation. But this is something that I do, which is kind of aligning with what Amit just shared. How about you, Sadanandji? Yours is product as well as services, both in your portfolio.
Essentially, obviously there are various things and various initiatives, no doubt about it. But there was one initiative which we had taken
Mm-hmm.
in the pandemic,
Uh-huh.
and first lockdown, it was so unexpected that nobody had ever believed that such kind of a lockdown will bring everything to a halt for maybe a period of 3 months or so.
Mm-hmm.
Initial 3 months were difficult. On our own, that time what we had done was, to all the customers whose warranty was live at that time,
Mm-hmm.
we wrote to them on our own without anybody asking for it, and we told them that, hey, there is a lockdown. We understand that you have already purchased the product, your warranty is live. In the normal course, that warranty would lapse based on the invoice date and the number of months or number of years that we are saying. But for you, we are, without asking any question, without charging a single rupee, we are extending your warranty by 3 months. No questions asked, no payments requested for. Your warranty will be extended because you are not actually using the product. And we would love you to exhaust the warranty by using it rather than by keeping it unused. That particular thing, in case of 2 3 customers, has won us more business because probably they found a sincere approach or a sincere willingness to, what I should say, to honor the warranty, not only in letter but in spirit also. Obviously, it could have meant some kind of a financial outgo for us in case, in that extended period of 3 months, a warranty claim kind of crystallizes. But by God's grace, the claims were not so many. But at the same time, we could kind of, give a pleasant surprise to at least
Mm-hmm.
our 5 6 of major industrial customers, which has, number one, helped us to remain in their good books. Number two, has won us more orders from them.
Great.
And in one of the cases, this particular CO Moto extension of warranty was escalated to their MD with fallout that they started insisting on their other vendors to extend the warranty similarly. Now, I really don't know how good or bad it is for other vendors, but that was something that was kind of, you know, you go to a mall, buy something, and then at the time of billing, you are told that, hey, you have purchased this. Now, as a surprise gift, we are giving you something extra. And then there is a wow kind of a feeling,
Right.
in the hope that that experience could repeat for the second time. You might, visit that place again in future.
Hmm.
I'm not saying that it will certainly get you business, but it will create a possibility of getting you further business.
True. Very true. I think our previous topic was customer acquisition, and we have still not talked about, or we are yet to talk about, on customer retention. But I think customer service can greatly help you to retain the customer. It's a great tool for repeat business. At the same time, it is a great tool, like you said. Without asking any money, you just extended the warranty without them asking for anything, or they shouting at you that, okay, we are in trouble. You gave something as a surprise to them, so that adds a lot to reputation also. And I think one of the things that is very very important is to not just build the reputation but also maintain the reputation. So I think on both counts you did a great job, sir. Thank you. Vahik ji,
Thanks.
Yes, yes, sir.
welcome back.
Uh, Listening to all the three speakers, I could recollect to one of my earlier assignment. I was with Anderson Hauser Middle East,
Yeah.
and I had been to a customer visit in Qatar. I was in Dubai, and I had been to a customer visit in Qatar.
Qatar.
They had some complaints, and it was just it was a paid visit,
Mm-hmm.
just assessing the situation and giving a report. And I straight away, like I was very clear and transparent. Whatever the situation was, I explained them, and the customer was very angry. The installation was not proper, and during installation, local channel partner was part of the installation team, and they did not convey it to the end user. because in project stage, end user is not directly in picture. Normally, the EPC contractor will call you and they get the job done. And when I got to know the story, it was like the EPC contractor said, "Do not convey to the end user because I am not going to pay it." The commissioning was about a month or so job, and the channel partner engineer, he got frightened and he did as he was told. And hello,
Yes, we can hear you.
sorry. So end of the day, what the case remain as it is. The instruments, 22 tanks, and none of the instruments were working.
Oh,
We talk of 3 accuracy, and it was like 500 and or odd. Like it was as good as not having the instrument in service.
hmm,
I conveyed clearly to the customer. They initially they were very angry, but they got to know the other side of the story also, and like it was trust building. Just because of that meeting, it ended up with a long association. We got multiple big orders. Like they kept on replacing other instruments, kept on working on these instruments. It's like being transparent, whether it's whether customer likes on the face or not, but being transparent and showing the true picture.
right.
The long run does have a value and it does give you business. You, yes, there may be a chance there is a chance you may lose the customer, but yes, being transparent always helps you in the long run.
Right, right. It's like, the risk that we take when we, try to be truthful, or when we are trying to say facts or throw facts at the people. It requires certain degree of bluntness. It requires, a little bit of a risk appetite to have that courage and say what is truth. And specifically in these kind of relationship, telling truth sometimes, uh, probably is influenced because of organization's policy, because
True.
I
It has,
believe that you were an employee of one or the other company, Anderson Hauser you mentioned.
yes,
So sometimes you don't know what's going to be management stand, and then it becomes kind of catch 22 situation for you. You are at a customer site, you are the one who is actually bearing the brunt of customer, all the
sure,
aggression coming from customer, and customer is
yes,
customer.
yes.
And that time I think what helps is really that transparency. So it's a very good point that you mentioned. Thank you. Ojas.
Hello. Yeah. So it's been just a single year, and I haven't been in much of customer services. मतलब मैंने इतना work नहीं किया customer service पर, लेकिन जितना भी किया है, I can say that as it's a e-commerce business. So what we have done is कि whenever customer orders whenever customer orders our service, our product, what we do is after the delivery, we have our customer service person who calls the customer and asks about how was your experience. Other than that, we also text them because we have their number, so we WhatsApp them about how was their experience. We also call them, right? So basically, what happens is we are dealing in vegetables, fruits, and other aspects. Sometimes what happens, people don't tell us our product is bad, or because as it's a perishable good, it can be in a bad quality when it is delivered to the customer, because when it leaves from our warehouse, it would be in good condition, but after reach till in the transportation, it may happen that it becomes bad. So at times customer understands us, okay, it happens because it's vegetables and fruits, but we don't want that particular aspect. So what we do is we call them and ask them, was it in a good shape or not. So if customer says that particular this portion was bad, what we do is without asking any question, we replace them, whole product also and whole order also. So that was our one of the key aspects that we have implemented in our customer service, right?
Right. I think you have also mentioned in your post or just the same thing, and Amit
Yeah.
also when he gave his opening remark, he also mentioned about Amazon and Flipkart, two different aspects. One company, both are very successful and popularly known e-commerce companies. One company is having a policy of no questions asked, and other company is kind of annoying to the customer. Uh, I think this exercise that we are doing is basically to really take some of the good takeaways and whatever in whichever way we can implement in our respective business, not exactly in letter but at least in spirit. If we can implement, I think we can really add lot of value to our customer.
Yeah, exactly. Other than that, I had one simple question. It would just take 30 seconds, right? Our vision is like we want to generate demand. We want to get information like Swiggy and Zomato are doing that. They are just giving free aways, means they are offering, they are giving offers and schemes because they want to get the data of the customers, and after that they can shift into consultancy business for hotels, right? What we are focusing is to get the information of which area is particularly we are focusing on generating the demand and getting know the demand, because right now that data is missing in our whole system. And the system that we are focusing is of supply chain management system of agriculture, right? So what I'm asking is we are also dealing with hotels, restaurants, and B2C customers. So which kind of services should we provide other than this no return, no question asked, and good quality? What other services can we provide to them, hotels, restaurants, and B2C?
Yeah, it's an excellent question, and probably answer is not going to be easy for anybody. Anybody who wants to attempt, I'll definitely attempt, but let us take sort of round table. So Amit, welcome back, and if you want to, if you have any ideas which you can share with Ojas.
Definitely, sir.
You know his business, right? He's also into e-commerce, but e-commerce for agri products, which is mainly fresh fruits and vegetables.
Right. No, that's what I said. Like, first, the point I stressed upon is reliability, which White sir also gave an option, transparency. Reliability is linked to transparency. If you follow these principles, I think there won't be, what we say, no looking back. Because that's where you can win the customers, and mouth publicity plays a huge aspect in India. Though the rating part is limited to, I would say, 10% of the entire population, but definitely if you want to reach the core where people don't use smartphones, then I think reliability and transparency would be the best options for you.
Right.
Okay.
Right, sir?
Just 1 minute. Adding to this point, let's say consider hotels and restaurants. What they are seeking is they are seeking just for the low price, nothing else. So in that, because we have a huge market, means our competitor is directly the APMC vendors. Other than that, no one is our competitor, right? So how can we compete to the ones, because we are also purchasing from them, and up to certain extent from the farmers, right? So they are giving us at the 10% margin. They are taking 10% margin. When they are providing to the hotel owners, they are directly providing from 20% margin. Are you getting my point? So we are also adding 20%. At the end, we are giving 30% more, because 20% from our end and 10% from the vendor end. So what other thing other than the low cost can we provide as a customer service?
Quality.
Okay, but they are not seeking for the quality. Hotels.
No, but there must be some minimum quality or benchmark they should be seeking. If you are providing, say, some vegetables to a restaurant, they cannot be vegetables which are like more than ripened age. There has to be some benchmark which they have set, the rates they are providing to their customers, because that matters a lot in food business. I'll tell you my experience. 10 days ago, I ordered biryani from PK Biryani. Pune people knows PK Biryani. And after eating the second bite, I thought there is some problem in that biryani, to be very honest. And I packed the entire biryani. I called the guy and I returned the biryani. And for last 4 days, I was feeling dizzy, literally dizzy. I was unable to wake up. My stomach got upset. And it was proper food poisoning. But my luck that after second bite I realized it. But then also my entire week went into sleeping. I was just sleeping and sleeping. It was so bad. And then see that's why I said, like, the minimum viable quality has to be maintained. If you don't maintain that, then it's gone. Now, will I buy from PK Biryani? No, never in my life. Will I recommend PK Biryani? No.
Has there been any feedback from their side after you returned? Have
No,
they really?
they didn't bother to replace or give back my money as well.
So it's a definite no-no in future in that case.
Correct. Correct.
Sadanand, for your information, PK Biryani has become such a big business in Pune. They have multiple outlets, so it's kind of a chain of their outlets, and they don't really care if they lose one customer like you and me.
Correct.
That's the kind of level that they are at. Okay, and it could be true for even Amazons of the world also. They don't mind some people really barking at them or giving them very, very negative feedback or low rating, because there are 1,000 other people who are actually giving them good praises, and of course for right reasons. I'm not saying they are praising only for the sake
Right.
of praising. PK Biryani also, just to be fair, of course, our friend had a very bad experience, and he probably has determined that he is never going to go back to PK Biryani. But this could be, I mean, just to give a fair sense, this could be one of those incidents where it went wrong. Maybe that particular outlet had no quality checks, or they served a stale food, and it caused the problem. But the point is well taken, Amit. Quality, again, it all revolves around the quality of product, service, and of course the quality of your service also, because
Right.
our central topic today is customer service. So there
Right.
also, again, relationship, friendliness that Amit initially opened with, those 4 points, they all play a major role.
Yes, I would like to add on to it, like on the same thing that I said before. I would have not got the confidence had I not been aware of the company's policies, the company's vision, mission, and values, and those ingrained in me. Because for me to speak to the customer with that confidence, I need to have those values in me.
Yeah.
I cannot go to my manager or director and take the permission. I had that much confidence in myself and the company. The company will honor my word. Same thing like what Ojas was saying. Now, what I feel is like it's my view. He has to take a call whether to go with those restaurants. Maybe those small restaurants he may avoid. Maybe he can target a little bigger or little other customers. So it's again your policies and having values that would help you to get over it.
Right. Ojas, in your business, you probably posed a question: how do I generate the demand? I think there is no question of demand. You are in a food business. Demand is already there. You just need to explore it for yourself and position yourself so that you actually get more business. Just to put things in right perspective, demand is already there. But how do those people who are demanding, or those who have the need, they come to you compared to your competition, or how can you actually secure a reasonable market share? Because the food market is really overloaded with supply. You are in a situation where it's a supplier surplus, if I can put that word here. There are a lot of people, and because there are a lot of people, there is a kind of a price war, and you think that the people who are your purchasers, like B2B customers, they are price sensitive. But they are going to be price sensitive because they are being offered every day basis. They probably, the owners are meeting n number of people like you. If not every day, at least in a month, they end up meeting with 6, 7, maybe 10, 12 people. Then they get all kinds of offers, and one of them is low price. And because they are into the business, depending on who you are supplying, you need to find out. Let's say if you are supplying to the hotel chain, like for example Taj, which has got a huge reputation. Okay, in your area, let's say if it is Yuvraj, I think in Baroda, there is a Yuvraj hotel which is very prestigious hotel. They will be the ones who are more quality conscious than price sensitive. Okay, these are two different things: quality consciousness and price sensitiveness. So you probably need to figure out that if you are into the business of supplying quality stuff, then your target audience should also be the people who are actually quality conscious and not the price sensitive people. If price sensitive people come to you on their own, then yes, probably using your negotiation skill, your bargaining power, you can probably have a deal with them, because we don't want to say no to any customer who is walking in, right? But identify, and that's where the customer profiling will come in picture. Right? And in your conversation, you have to really stay upfront, right from your, let's say, first interaction. In your messaging, you may not say it directly, but in your message, you should be conveying that you are more interested in supplying quality stuff and not something which is price sensitive. You are not into the price war. So if you do your messaging part right, and if they still keep coming to you, or if they are still interested in having a meeting with you, giving you the appointment, then you can accordingly take it up.
Understood. One question over here.
Yeah.
In case of quality, it's like beauty is in the eyes of the beholder. Quality is a similar thing. Everybody has a different definition of quality.
Right.
If suppose somebody wants to buy eggs and he intends to attend a meeting by opposition parties, his quality criteria is rotten eggs. If somebody wishes to actually make an omelette, his quality criteria is a good egg. So different people have different quality criteria. So how do we kind of reach to the bottom of his exact requirement?
Customer profiling, like I said, yeah.
Quite a few times in our case it so happens that we find that many a times we have given a quality which has surpassed his expectation. Now, had I charged a bit more, he could have willingly paid that. But not having really understood what my quality means to him, we have many a time ended up pricing our product at a slightly lower level, wherein it could have fetched us some higher amount. Because we could his quality expectation exceed his quality expectation. So how do you really kind of define your quality? And number two is, how do you get to know what the client actually expects by way of a quality?
Yeah, I think this itself is a subject in itself. I mean, we should take it up. Let's say if we all agree, customer profiling, which I said to Ojas, we can take up that as our next topic immediately after this meeting. So I was anyway supposed to declare that, and like I had said in last meeting, that maybe for a couple of rounds I will declare the topic, but let it be a group choice, because something will evolve out of this discussion, and we define our agenda. Okay. So let us, if you all agree, let us take customer profiling as a topic.
Definitely.
Okay, last one simple question.
Yes.
Customer profiling, right, and market validation. What's the difference, please? If you can say in 1 minute.
Oh, those are two different
things.
Different things, completely different things.
See, customer research, I mean, if you're talking about market research, then you can arrive at a market validation.
Okay.
Like, what are your customer segments? Like Biman sir rightly said, even Sahasrabudhe sir also mentioned right now.
Mm-hmm.
You have to do a thorough market research. I'll tell you in my case. In my case, people go for counseling, which is done for 500 rupees also, and it is done for 1 lakh rupees also.
True.
Okay. But in 500 rupees and only in 15 or 20 minutes, can you choose your career stream?
No.
Right? So that's why you have to do a thorough market research. Like how I did, I will tell you. We have time, sir.
Yeah.
30 seconds?
Yeah.
So what I did, when I came back to India, I went as a guinea pig to different counselors. And I found out...
Amit, we have 15 more minutes actually. We are supposed to close at 5.
No, I'll take only 30 seconds.
Yeah.
So when I used to go as a guinea pig to the counselors, I found out that they are just using divergent techniques. कि आपको बुखार आया है तो पैरासिटामोल ले लो. So that kind of techniques most of the counselors used to use, and I decided this is not what I want to do. So I created my own IP, my own models, and I solved the customer's problem practically. So that's how you will also have to go in the market, do lots of market research. In fact, I was doing this market research for around 6 to 7 years. And that's how I arrived at this kind of models, which I am going to patent it now. So if you do that, I mean, then sky is the limit for you, very honestly.
What I am facing the issue, right? As you said, the market research part. All right, and after that only we can arrive to the customer profiling. Means
Correct.
we can design our customer profile, and then we can go for the market research, right? So in our case, how can I do? Because sky is the limit.
Yeah.
Each and every household person wants it, and we can
Right.
identify the customer base. Like let's say for our business, customer segment is for the bachelor one, right? The ones who don't want to go out, the ones working couples, right? Other than that, the person old age people. I'm just giving you the
Correct, correct.
criteria, right?
Yes, yes.
Other than that, hotels, 5-star hotels, other than that, Lapinos and other pizza houses, and other than that, also the bulk order means there are people who want to buy it from us in
Correct.
bulk, like in tons, cold storage people, right? So we have identified our customer segment, but I'm not able to get to know that how can I go for the market research part.
Yeah,
Correct. I'll tell you, it's
sorry.
yeah.
Sorry to interrupt you, but
Yeah.
again, we are diverging from the topic. Let's bring our focus back to customer service.
Correct. Yeah.
All right, sorry.
Because there are so many different aspects, and little bit of divergence here and there is fine. You don't have to say
Fine,
sorry,
yeah.
Ojas.
No, I was going to tell you, sir, that market research can also be a topic for discussion.
Yeah, of course, yes, and it's actually
It's a vast topic. Yeah.
In my initial message, I think I have included that also.
Okay.
But I think maybe in near future we will take it up. One last point that I want to discuss on this discussion related to customer services, the technology and the methods that you may be using or you are aware of, not necessarily you are using for customer service, for better customer service or improving customer service. Anything that comes to your mind, anything that you are using in your like Amit and I just shared about our services, because in a way our services, nature of our services is pretty similar. It's more of an intellectual service that we are providing, and we have found our let's say sweet spot, I would say, to deal with our customer service. But anything that rest of the participants can think of, or it is already part of your customer service in terms of
Alright,
technology, tools and method.
All right, I will take just 1 minute. We haven't applied it yet, but we have thought about it. For example, let's say we have n number of customers, right? So they have special days in their life, like anniversary, birthdays, take special occasions, right? So we weren't able to get that data, but what we were thinking is we can provide that particular customer, because we have n number of customers. We can provide particular customer what they are needing. For example, let's say from our data, we have analyzed that this particular customer in a month orders particular assortments frequently. So in that we can get this week, because it's your anniversary, we will provide it to you for free,
Making them
Something
feel
like that.
special.
making them feel special like that. We have thought of it, but we haven't executed.
Wow,
Yeah.
fantastic! It's a very nice way. It's already in practice by lot of people. I think our banks always wishes us happy birthday, right? Or sometimes
Yeah.
even anniversaries also. So yes, it's a very good concept, making people feel special. At least letting them know that we are thinking about you. I think it's a very good element or a method, I would say, in customer service. Sadananji,
Yes.
anything that you are doing, or I mean using the technology or tools or method?
Not really as of now. In fact, what Ojas said is giving us some ideas to do things differently. Only thing, in our case, customers being industrial customers, we need to do it differently.
Mhm.
The same model cannot really apply over here.
Right.
But yes, obviously every company can always have its maybe foundation day or some such thing.
Mm-hmm. Right. Amit, anything that you would like to add to what you have already said?
One example I would like to quote here. Last week, I did a business counseling for a huge printing house, and I saw that they were using very old technologies. Like, for designing, they were using Corel, they were not using Canva or Pinterest. I mean, they were not ready to move to the new age technologies. And then after the counseling, I found out that there is a sudden drop of business by almost 40%, and they are into debt. Even they need to change their infrastructure, upgrade their infrastructure, and adopt new technologies. So that also just really plays a lot of. I mean, it carries a lot of weightage here. Otherwise, if you don't go with the time, you don't change with time, then it's a problem, huge problem.
Right, right.
Hmm.
One of the things that I have recently realized, and I'm not doing, I was not doing it consciously, but I realized that this is something that is, really making a difference. Again, talking about the nature of our service. Let's say my business coaching or executive coaching that I'm doing with the people. Or just there is a background noise. If you can just mute yourself.
Sorry.
People come to us with a very vague problem statement, and then just because business is coming your way, you end up saying yes to them and you start working with them, but then helping them to clarify what their actual problem statement is, and then accordingly making changes in your assignment or terms of engagement is actually going a very long way. Now it is part of, let's say, your business strategy, or in whichever terminology you want to call it. But while providing the services, once you realize that, oh, this is something that what customer wants, not what you want to sell. I want to sell my business coaching expertise, or I want to sell my executive coaching expertise. That's a very broad statement. So let's say it is a product on my shelf somewhere, but then what exactly customer is looking for? Is he looking some personal help because he has certain personal lacuna, or he has a grudge with somebody else and that's why he is stuck somewhere? If you start identifying, then accordingly you modify. Then you say, okay, for this problem probably I am not the right person. I can help you connect with someone like Amit, for example, who is good at counseling, or much better than me when it comes to counseling. I am not really the right person. I am not really somebody who can come and give you a motivational lecture, or inspire you in doing things in a different way. I'm going to talk straight with you on the business aspect, or let's say your professional aspects. So this is something that is, I think, people are liking more. So while we are providing customer service, if we go a little deeper into what exactly the customer requirement is, I think that can help. So that is something that I have recently realized, that because of this approach, I have developed a kind of a follower, or follower club or a fan club, and then they start recommending you somewhere else.
Right.
So this is my
True.
little experience.
Adding to this point, right now as we know that data is the new oil, and everyone is seeking more and more data, right? So after gathering, let's say we have gathered a lot of information from our target customer, right? How can we use to improve our services and make them feel special? Not only that the method that I explained, other than that, because let's say Amazon is there, Big Basket is there, and many other e-commerce businesses are running, right? So what they are doing is, whatever you do, for example, let's say you have searched for a simple shoes, right, in Amazon. Then if you are going for a Google search, in that Google AdSense, they will show you the same shoes or different kind of shoes, and they will get to know that this particular shoes segment you want to go deeper, and they will show you the same shoes. So I'm not getting into that perspective that how can we improve more on
a lot actually. In fact, you rightly said that yours is a business where you get a lot of data from the database, or let's say from your system or application itself. One of the things that you really get to put your hand onto is customers' buying behavior. If a particular customer, like you earlier said, that we want to wish them a happy birthday, and we want to find out what is it that they are buying very frequently. Let's say if it is a particular brand's cheese cubes, as an example, you are not into that, but let's say something that they are buying repeatedly. Maybe you want to surprise them with their favorite brand. Okay, so this is a very good use of information, because you come to know about their buying behavior. Now this is something which you can implement when you want to make them feel special. It goes into that. But sometimes, let's say there is a customer who has been buying from you almost, let's say, one order per fortnight or one order per week, and your database gives you an alert that a particular customer or a set of customers are not buying from me for last 3 weeks, something has happened. Maybe he has moved out of the city, maybe he is on vacation, whatever. Maybe a call from your call center will go to them. Somebody, a calling lady will get in touch with that, sir, we have not received, or madam, is everything okay, because we have not received any order. So this gives a kind of personalized feeling to them, that okay, there is somebody who is of course watching. That is something that that will come to their mind ki, these people are watching us. But at the same time, it gives a personalized feeling. If your script is correct, when your people talk to them, if your script is correct, again you make them feel special. So these are the things that you can derive out of the data. I mean, a couple of things that just came to my mind, I'm sharing with you. Maybe there are some more from Sadanji and Amit.
Yes, in one word, I would like to tell you predictive analytics. If you use your data and predict things, that will help you a lot.
Yeah. Amazon, for example, does lot of things. When you go and log on to Amazon, it will tell you that you have visited this product, that product in last few days or whatever. So they are keeping a tab. They are collecting that data. If you can build that kind of intelligence in your systems, you can also give that same feeling. I mean, there is lot to learn from these established players like Amazon, and there is nothing wrong, I would say, in copying what they are doing. Those are not really kind of patented ideas. You should definitely do that, because all they are doing is they are, I think, one of the aspects that they are working the most on is giving the best customer experience, which is integral part of customer service.
Correct.
Yes, Sadanandji, any concluding remarks from you before we call it a day?
For those who are interested, there is a company called Zappos.
Sorry, we missed that. Can you repeat that?
There is a company called Zappos. This
Zappos.
company has now been acquired by Amazon. And this company was acquired precisely because they were giving an ultimate customer service. So I think if we go to pdfdrive.com, there are lot many books available which are freely downloadable. On Zappos there is a lot of material. So it could be worth referring to those things, because they have reached that kind of thing that they were bought over only because of the customer experience that they generated and customer loyalty that they generated.
True.
That was one thing. Secondly, initially in this discussion during today's interaction, Vimanji had spoken about identifying the customer kind of thing, profiling, etc. There is something called as a one-page marketing plan. Now that one-page marketing plan touches upon various things, and it actually prods you to create a niche definition for your customers. Because ultimately, rather than now, when Ojas said, Ojas, I'm just taking your name because of example and illustration.
No issue.
Then, as an accountant in accounts, also we put disclaimers, and in audit remarks we put disclaimers. So disclaimer first.
You don't want to forget that you are CMA.
I wouldn't let you forget. Anyway, so what happens is there are totally it's a intersection of 3 rows and 3 columns. First row is totally devoted to pre-sales. Second row is the sales process, and third row is the post-sales. Like what Vimanji said about referral. Referral comes in post-sales, because if you are giving a good experience, then based on that experience, in post-sales, your existing customer can refer you to somebody else. Just give me a minute if somebody is at your door.
Yeah, sure.
Viman Kaka, can you repeat that 3 columns? I didn't get what he was trying to say.
Yeah, we'll ask him again.
Okay.
Pre-sales was the first, sales, and then post-sales.
Okay. Pre-sale.
Pre-sales, sales, and post-sales.
Post-sales.
Okay.
I'm sorry. for
No
the
problem, sir. No
interruption.
problem. Yeah, yeah.
So in the first row, the first block itself talks about identifying your niche. What is the niche? Then the second column talks about, I'm talking about the pre-sales stage only. First, identify your niche. Second, how do you approach that niche? What is the proposition that you have with which you will approach that niche? Third is, how would you communicate to them? Could it be through mail, could be WhatsApp, could be personal meeting or whatever, or industry forum, etc. Then comes the sales part, again divided into 3 columns. Then comes post-sales part. So the first and foremost of that would be the wow factor. Wow factor will, the post-sales is entirely customer service and benefits out of customer service. So first would be wow factor. What would you do for your existing customer that will create a wow? In fact, Vimanji, when I think Amit had dropped out, we were talking about extending the warranty.
Yes.
No questions asked. Amit, what I was telling them was during the pandemic time, first lockdown, this actually idea hit us, and we extended the live warranties for all our industrial customers without any questions for 3 months.
Okay.
No price tag attached, nothing they should do. These are your invoices where the warranty is valid currently. It is getting extended by 3 months. And it actually fetches good, handsome returns by way of pit orders, etc. Anyway, so that is the wow factor. Then ultimately that wow factor with a customer has to result into referrals as a first thing, and second thing as a testimonials. So wherever he cannot give referrals, his testimonials can work with somebody else. So if you like, I'll share on the group
Yes,
a
please.
summary of that one-page marketing
Yeah, yeah.
as to what are these 9 elements which we kind of
Yeah, please do, sir. That will be very, very helpful to all the members there. And I also want to request you. You mentioned about that book or Zepcos, right? If you can-
Zappos.
So if you can just type in
I
into
put that
our
on the
WhatsApp
group also.
So then
It's
yeah.
basically a shoe manufacturing company, and they go to the ultimate length to satisfy their customer. To this extent that in one of their case studies, they had mentioned about somebody calling the call center, and he had a litany of moves, and not particularly related to Zappos products, but basically he wanted a shoulder to cry upon. They lent that shoulder. That customer service executive did not disconnect that call. That call went on maybe for a few hours. At the end of it, all the things that Zappos could do for that customer for their own products, they did. But beyond that, whatever was possible, at least giving him a feeling that somebody is seriously listening to your words. काफी बार लोगों को सुनने वाला कोई चाहिए रहता है.
Right.
So I'll share that also, and
Yeah.
if possible, I'll share even a soft copy of that Zappos book on the group.
Great. Thank you. Thanks a lot. Thank you so much, Sadadanji, Amit, and of course Ojas. Thank you so much for your participation, contribution. Let's keep meeting, and like I said, our next topic is going to be customer profiling. So let's put our brains together and start sharing with each other. Thank
All
you
right,
so
sure.
much.
Thank you.
Thanks a lot,
Thank you.
Vipanji.
Hello, bye.
Thank you.
Bye for now.
Bye.